News, analysis, opinion.
They've gotten away with murder for 47 years. They're not getting away with it anymore.
He started this. He's the one who should be paying for it, but it doesn't come out of his pocket. It comes out of our pocket.
101.9 and 94.1.
My talk station.
News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our first alert for Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. An isolated shower or thundershower, not out of the question. Very spotty, though, through about early evening. They'll fade into the evening and then dry overnight with a low of 66. A high of 86 on Thursday. It's going to be warm and muggy, partly to mostly cloudy for Thursday. Friday's mostly cloudy, 20% chance for a shower, mainly in the morning to early afternoon. Otherwise, a high of 81. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at newstalkstl.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddie's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Hello and welcome to Colombo and Company on a Wednesday afternoon. Still have to think about what day it is, this shortened holiday week. But thank you for being here with us. Tony Colombo in studio with producer Ashlyn. And a whole lot going on this Wednesday afternoon. Lots of great company coming over. We're going to get to all the important, serious stuff. We're also going to have a little bit of fun, as we do each and every Wednesday, to kind of break up the week for you. Lot going on. We talked, about this with our guests yesterday, about where we're at with the conflict in Iran and how it feels like we are at a point of change, that something is going to happen soon, whether it be a major advancement of peace talks or another military action. We've had this feeling come and go a couple times over the last couple months, but what I'm feeling as I read these stories and watch this play out every day, and I think unanimously, I think every guest I've talked to and every person I think on and off the air that I've talked to about this seems to have the feeling that this one is different, that we've reached a new level, that the idea of this suddenly getting brushed away as negotiations continue and it kind of lulls back down for a week or two, I just don't see that happening this time. I could be very wrong. Anytime I've been ever optimistic, about anything in politics, it usually doesn't, or the news, it usually doesn't work out. But it definitely feels that way, and I want to get you an update on all of what's happening here as we go through the afternoon. We also have new UFO files being released, and we have the NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman, addressing some of these reports and pictures and videos that have been released by the Trump administration. So that's always a good time. Looking forward to talking about that. Also, Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden poked his head out of the ground and has got himself back in the news as he is suing the Department of Justice to block the release of audio recordings and transcripts tied to the special counsel investigation into his handling of classified documents. If you remember, this was the big investigation that happened that focused around when Joe Biden was vice president, and he not only did he take classified documents that he wasn't supposed to have, view classified documents. This is the one, remember, where they found boxes and boxes of these things and is literally in the garage parked next to the car, or in boxes next to the car. Like that's where this is all tied to. And Joe Biden doesn't like the direction it's going. And guess who he's mad at about it? You're right, Donald Trump. But so I'll tell you about his lawsuit against the DOJ and what's going on there as we go through the afternoon. This week is just a little bit out of order because of the holiday on Monday. Typically, it's Tuesdays, yesterday, that we talked to Mike McClary from Intervine, our big tech AI expert on the show. But we are going to have that conversation this week, today, on a Wednesday. And specifically, I mean, there's plenty of news. There's always plenty of AI stories and news to talk about. So we'll definitely get into those things with Mike. He'll be with us in less than 10 minutes, and he's going to be with us for a good chunk of this 2 o'clock hour. So we're going to have time to unpack a lot of this stuff. So we're going to get into all of that stuff. But I also specifically want to talk to him about data centers, because that word data centers is becoming like a hot button term. It's almost like, it's almost like it stands for something for people. Like you say data center, and it's like it's like the like description of evil for some, and for others it's not. And why is that? What's the truth about these data centers? Because you see wildly varying reports on what they're doing. If they're bad for the environment, if they're good for a metropolitan area because of the jobs, but is it also, is it going to destroy a city? Just all these things that are tied around data centers. And I can't think of a better person to talk about this with, to get the truth, to get the understanding of, what is all of the concerns, and are they legitimate or not? Some of them. I'm sure some of them are, and I'm sure some of them are not. So looking forward to having that conversation with Mike McClary from Intervine in just a few moments. Also today, you heard him a little bit ago on Jamie Allman's show, but the great J.C. Corcoran is going to be with us in the 3 o'clock hour this afternoon. He has his annual event coming up this weekend, and it's always great to catch up with JC. So he's going to be with us in the 3 o'clock hour. And Wednesday afternoon, a lot of shuffling of the deck this week. Guests on different days, but one thing that is as consistent as it possibly can be is Klose's Kabinet. And that's every Wednesday. So we're going to have that. We're going to open up Klose's Kabinet in a little less than an hour, just after 3 o'clock here with our buddy Mark Klose from KC95. And, of course, the sponsor of Klose's Kabinet is Weber Chevrolet, and Skip Weber will be with us for that conversation as well. Always a whole lot of fun to catch up with those guys. All right, so before we get Mike on the line, let's get you caught up on the latest coming out of Iran. And, this is it's getting to the point where this is almost a, minute-by-minute situation with announcements, statements being made out of either side, and, just a lot of moving parts. So we're keeping a very, very close eye on this. The president said today that the negotiating with Iran, he described as being on fumes, the negotiating process on fumes, and said that the Iranian regime is trying to, quote, outweight me, which is not a surprise because this is exactly what we've talked about with, many folks over the last several weeks. And it's the way it's always worked for Iran and other groups, especially in the Middle East, that, you get caught, with a nuclear, making nuclear weapons or whatever it may be, and the United States gets involved. You get under the international spotlight. Everybody's all up in arms, no pun intended, and you let the inspectors come in. You sign a piece of paper that says you're going to, deactivate these facilities and whatever, and you kind of just put your head down for a couple years and just keep moving forward because the world loses interest, and specifically the United States loses interest. And then you're able to just kind of keep going along the same path, and it's just a little bit of a, little bump in the road. That is, I'm sure, what they are thinking is going to happen or can happen again. And hopefully, and I believe he is, hopefully this president is different than many in the past and will stay engaged in this situation until it is truly resolved. But you can't expect Iran to believe anything different because they've got decades of history on their side that if they just kind of drag their feet long enough, that the attention span of the world and the United States will just run out, and then they'll be all right. But hopefully that's not the case. President said today that Iran is, quote, negotiating on fumes, accusing them of abusing its long-running strategy, there you go, of delay tactics to outweight him on denuclearization. Exactly what I was just talking about. Quote, Iran is very much intent. They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there, Trump said in a statement today. Continuing, quote, we're not satisfied with it. Either that or we'll just have to finish the job. Trump said that U.S. negotiators are, quote, doing a good job, but argued Iran has little leverage after recent military losses. Quote, their Navy has gone. As I've said 1,000 times, and Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. And they're negotiating on fumes. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't. Trump also said Iran's economy is in, quote, free fall, and claimed the regime believed it could wait him out, there you go, until the midterms. Quote, they thought they were going to outweight me. I don't care about the midterms. I don't know if that's true. Very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I'm doing that for the world. I'm not doing it just for us, unquote. As I mentioned a little bit later on, he said that the U.S. could make a good deal with Iran, but warned that a military option could produce a great deal that would be nastier but foolproof, his words. So a little bit later on in these, various meetings and press briefings today, Donald Trump said, quote, I can say that we can make a good deal right now, but maybe not a great deal. He said this at today's monthly cabinet meeting at the White House when asked whether the Iran deal could be tied to more countries joining the Abraham Accord, something that we touched on in our conversation with Susie Moore yesterday. Go back and check that out on the podcast. Get filled in on all that. Trump said that he would not disclose what is or is not contingent in the negotiations, but suggested that the U.S. still has stronger options if diplomacy fails. Quote, if it's not a great deal when I'm making it, because we can make a great deal with this guy right here, Trump pointing at Pete Hegseth. Quote, it's a lot nastier, probably wouldn't go as quickly, but it would be foolproof. Trump said negotiations are going pretty well, but again criticized the Obama-era Iran nuclear deal as the worst deal and a, quote, path for Iran to have a nuclear weapon very quickly. The president also said that the U.S. did not set out to pursue regime change in Iran, but argued that recent losses have effectively transformed Iran's negotiating team. Quote, we didn't set out for regime change, but by the fact that we're dealing with a totally different group of people than when we were at the beginning, this is regime change. So a lot going on, and all of that. Trump also touched on gas prices today. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the afternoon. But, you know, as I've said over the last couple days, when you read these reports, when you listen to what's being said by both sides, it just doesn't feel like we're getting closer to a agreement. It feels to me that we are more heading towards the path of military action. But anything can happen, and that's why it's so important to keep an eye on everything and keep you up to speed as it happens, which we will, of course, do. All right, let's change the conversation up a little bit. We're going to be joined by our big tech AI expert. We're going to talk about data centers with Mike McClary from Intervine next.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Colombo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Judges block Alabama's new map. We'll talk to Legal Eagles Zach Smith about what's next in the redistricting fight at 420.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo in studio with producer Ashlyn, and joining us on the line now on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. We used to talk to him on Mondays, but now it's Tuesdays. But this week it's Wednesday. You got all that? Mike McClary from Intervine, our big tech AI experts, on the line with us. Mike, how are you?
I'm great. Clearly,
very
there's
clear.
Kind of time warp going on right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Just rattled by the holiday week. It just does not feel like it should be Wednesday, does it? But definitely appreciate your time and for rolling with the punches with this weird schedule this week, my friend. Always lots to talk about, and I do want to. I do want to talk about other AI issues. I've been, promoting and teasing that we're going to talk about data centers, and we are. I want to dig into that, certainly. There's other things out there that I want to talk about as well, especially with the midterm elections coming up and then, the next presidential election in 2028. Even today, Gavin Newsom is making news about like his AI platform for his presidential run. So, I mean, this is getting to be like, I know we've been saying this for literally a year or more now, but I think it's really starting to sink in to everyone that AI is not only is it not going anywhere, but it's going to touch every aspect of our lives in the very near future. Right? I mean, am I exaggerating
100%.
it there? No? Go ahead.
Not at all. I mean, every single job out there is really already being impacted by AI, whether they realize it or not. And it's just a matter of time, if it hasn't been, that it will be. We're already seeing new jobs come up. What is it? An AI prompt specialist is a new job. Someone who knows how to prompt ChatGPT correctly in Gemini. And then lots of jobs from some of the big tech companies out there have been going away. But in reality, they were probably overstaffed. I think a lot of the CEOs are using AI as an excuse when they're trimming their payrolls. It's kind of become the boogeyman right now. And we're going to see politicians. Like I said, I saw Gavin Newsom came out with his own stance. And, it's not surprising that, he's pretty much going to take, you would think he would only be taking a stance against what Trump has, because that's kind of what he does. But we are seeing politicians on the left and right kind of coalesce around some type of stance on AI so that we can actually make sure that it doesn't completely disrupt our economy any more than it's already going to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. The prompt specialist. I mean, that's probably a whole hour of a conversation alone right there, which is super interesting. But I also, one of those things, and this kind of ties in to the data center part of the conversation as well. We focus on, and we should, by the way, I'm not saying that we should ignore the bad news and the concerns out there with the development of AI, because there's lots of very legitimate ones. But we often talk about how it's going to take everybody's jobs. Mm-hmm. It's going to create jobs as well. There are going to be jobs created, and especially in the short term. And by the short term, I don't mean like in the next, just over the next few months or the next couple of years. I mean in the next 10 to 20 years short term, with the construction of data centers and power centers and all of the infrastructure that has to be put in place for these things. So there are a lot of jobs and growth that can be focused on as well, while we also talk about the jobs that could be phased out or changed or whatever it is because of this new world.
And Tony, I mean, just because AI is used in a lot of jobs, it makes people dramatically more productive. We're talking 20 to 50 to 100 times more productive. It doesn't mean that you replace that one person now replaces 20 or 50 or 100 people. There's something, and I think I get the name wrong. I think it's called like Jarvan's paradox. And this is a proven thing over time, where when something becomes more productive, and like the cost goes down to do something. So for example, if a programmer right now can do the job of, let's just say, 5 programmers, companies don't get rid of those other 4 programmers. That one person becomes more productive, which means that he's more valuable, but he's not going to get paid 5 times as much. And so the cost for doing these things, like creating programs or maybe even providing customer service to people, the cost goes down, so more people use it. So the capacity stays up. And this has been proven 20 years ago, I think, when people started using AI in doing ultrasounds and radiology. There was a time that people said, you will never have another radiologist again, because AI is going to do all the reviewing of all kinds of x-rays. That never happened. Instead, the cost of radiology to have it reviewed went down, and the demand went up to compensate and actually overcompensate. So now it's more accessible to people. Just like AI is, if you have a phone, you have access to AI right now. And so we're seeing the same thing happen, that it's just the demand many times with new technologies surpasses the loss that we have. I'm not saying it's going to happen necessarily. I'm just saying history with technology shows this to be the case. So there's going to be a lot more people using AI, which means there'll be a lot more demand for it, which means we need a lot more people even using AI to support that. So that's why I'm not 100% positive, but I'm definitely over the 60, 75% positive that we're going to see some jobs and come out of this that people aren't even thinking about right now.
I like that if you have a phone, then you already have AI touching your life, whether you know it or not. Also, by the way, if you have a phone, you have a radio. That's because of the News Talk STL app, which is absolutely free. Just remember that as well. But yeah, that is just how prevalent it is in our lives. We're already, whether you are actively using it or not, the companies around you certainly are. the social media companies, the advertising companies, all of these things, are using these AI tools. So
100%, and it's making them more efficient, and hopefully, hopefully it's going to make the ads you and I get a little better targeted too. So we're not getting you and I those typical ads that men our age seem to get all the time.
That continues. And I've blocked hundreds of them at this point. That still is happening. And what's crazy to me, okay, little side tangent here. I've talked a lot about the targeted advertising, about, when I mentioned a piano and all of a sudden I was getting piano commercials, when I was painting my stairs and I was getting painting, when I was getting paint ads, all of a sudden, how they're obviously listening and targeting, our ads. Nothing new, right?
Right.
Lately, I've been getting ads in Spanish. Like, and it's just, I don't speak Spanish. And I'm like, how can this phone and these ads be so tuned in to what I'm doing that, what was the one? Lasagna soup. Remember that one? When my wife made lasagna soup and I had never even heard those two words put together, and we talked about it, and then that day I was watching a YouTube video and I got an ad for a local grocer, and in the ad they literally said, "Here's my best recipe for lasagna soup." Like, I'd never heard it before. Now I'm getting ads for it. So it's so dialed in and knows so much about me and what I'm doing in my life that I can get an ad about lasagna soup after having a conversation about lasagna soup with my wife. And then the next ad is in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. Like, how does it?
Yeah, that is not AI. That is an advertising company who has capacity. You know what it's like in the radio business. You have a limited capacity of your advertising space, and sometimes they have too much capacity. And when they do, they start going down the rung. Like, they've hit all their Spanish-speaking people, then they've hit all the people who are dual language people, and then they're like, well, we have more advertisers willing to pay us for these ads in Spanish. We're just going to start showing to more people. And that's literally what happens in those situations.
It's just like a spread shot. We're just going to throw it out there to as many people as we can.
A sawed-off shotgun advertisement.
Just cracks me up that I can get one that's so obviously specific to what I'm doing at that moment, and then one that just is like,
isn't that AI?
I don't even know what you're promoting, so I can't buy what you're selling.
AI can be so incredible when it gives you like a really detailed, thoughtful response, and then sometimes it just doesn't even listen to your instructions. Hey, give me the news in the past 5 days. Sure. Here's what happened back in February.
I had another one, to your point. I had another one. See, this is what's great about these segments, because there's just so much to talk about, and I'm sure many people have dealt with this. I've talked about how the chatbot that I use is Gemini because it's in my phone, and I typically use it when I'm driving to kind of get an idea of what the news headlines are, so I can start to focus up on them, when I get to the office and things like that. I was having a conversation with Gemini, and I know that there's a thing now. I haven't done this yet. If you connect Gemini with, I think, like the, is it the Gmail or is it the Google Chrome app, or then it can do more for you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I haven't done that yet. But I wasn't talking about anything like that. I wish I had the transcripts. I was just asking a regular question about, like, what was the headlines out of today's press briefing about Iran? And Gemini kept answering, I can show you that image if you connect. I can't do that for you right now, but I can show. And I literally was saying to it, like, which is kind of cool that you could talk to it like this. I said, I don't know why you keep bringing up. I don't know why you keep bringing up Google Chrome, because it has nothing to do with the question I'm asking you. And then it replies like, you're right. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It doesn't. But then it would do it again. And then until I finally said, do not mention Google Chrome for the rest of this conversation. And it didn't. But I found some glitch. I'll have to show you the transcript. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. I found some glitch where I'm just having a conversation, and it's trying to, and it's like giving me this advice to do something for, so I can better view an image or something that I'm not even that I wasn't even talking about. So sometimes, as sophisticated as it is, you can still obviously find these little glitches in the system.
And Tony, you were using the voice mode, right? Talking to it back and forth.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I just had this conversation literally 2 nights ago with my family, taking our dog on a walk as we do every single night. They could tell I was frustrated about something. And my frustration was exact same situation that you had, but me using Chatty G, as I refer to him. And I've just come to accept the fact the voice models, because of the way that they're constrained by compute, they're constrained by data centers. And we're starting to see that right now. So when you use the voice model, they're giving you like the cheaper, not quite as smart. The whole focus is being on quick back and forth conversation. So it doesn't do a tenth of the thinking that when you type in a question to ChatGPT or Gemini that it does. They just want to give you quick answers back and forth to keep you happy. And I have proven this by doing, face-to-face tests with them, where when you use the voice mode, it literally doesn't even follow instructions. Like I do a lot of prep work for these shows. I ask for like news in the past 7 days only. I want, sources cited so I can exactly what they are. I only want to cover AI. And if I use AI mode, like the voice mode, it will literally tell me stories that are 4 or 5 months old. It won't even be an AI story sometimes, and it won't give me any sources. And sometimes if I ask it to give me the source after the fact, it'll say, oh, I don't even know what that story was that I just told you about. It's crazy. And so I think
all
we're seeing
all for the reason of trying to be natural and quick and have a human conversation, because it thinks that, if it pauses and like is doing the whole like Android thing of scanning, that you're not going to use it as much. I don't know. I'm sure they have studies about this, but that's why, and we've talked about this before, that's why I start every conversation with, I want you to give me the latest I want you to give me the latest news, latest available information on whatever we're going, whatever topic I'm going to ask it about. And you definitely can tell the delay. Like it does take an extra few seconds to get responses, but I'd rather do that than not get that information. But if you don't tell it, if you don't specifically tell it to, and then I'm sure that the chat bots are still not as good, even in that case, as using the programs or typing it in the search bar or whatever.
They're not. No,
but it definitely helps a lot when you specifically say, okay, I want you to check the very latest information on whatever whatever topic we're talking about before while we're having this conversation, and it helps.
By the way, someone is spraying water outside my house. We can hear that. I don't know what they're doing.
That's all right.
The dog's playing in there. But Tony, what's really interesting is that I don't know if it is a psychological thing or it's a true thing, but I feel like the voice models sometimes are getting dumber. And maybe our expectations are so high, like we're so used to having AI right now that we expect it to be right 95% of the time. And it just isn't. I have so many problems with the voice models over the past 3-4 months that I feel like they're getting dumber or I'm getting more impatient. And maybe it's a combination of the two.
Well, and you mentioned one just a minute ago, and here's how we're going to tie it all together and get the data center conversation going, because you mentioned a minute ago that a lot of it has to do with lack of compute. These companies need more power, which means they need more infrastructure, which means they need power plants and data centers and these types of things to be able to, correct me if I'm wrong, the technology is there. I mean, it's still obviously developing every day, but the technology is ahead of what we have access to now, because these companies, they're limited by the amount of power and the amount of compute that they have right now. Is that correct?
And it's becoming a problem. And I know we talk about this in a few minutes here, maybe the next segment.
Yeah.
But I think that we may have even hit AGI if we just had enough compute right now. I think the models are that smart that we may have already done it a few months ago.
AGI is
artificial general
intelligence. And then there's another level after that, right?
ASI, artificial super intelligence.
Oh boy. All right.
But general means that it can be as good as any person, any expert out there. And I think it's already there.
Yeah. And we're only held back by our power and infrastructure limitations.
And I will make the case in the next segment why we need to take care of that.
Man, you are a radio pro. We are talking to Mike McClary from Intervine. Intervine, of course, the local family-owned business by Mike that makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps on the market, including also batteries in all different sizes. And you can get all the flashlights, all the lanterns, all the headlamps, AA, AAA batteries, different size batteries, all of it at Intervine.com right now for 25% off just by using my name, Tony, Tony, as your promo code at checkout. Intervine.com, Intervine, Intervine.com. Use my name, Tony, at checkout, 25% off everything. We're going to continue our conversation with Mike McClary. We're going to talk about the the boogeyman, data centers, next.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. News, analysis, opinion.
Unleashing energy dominance is not just about ramping up a domestic supply. We need to be looking at other markets to be able to place our product. Being in a stronger position to be able to export to these other countries that want it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Talking with our big tech AI expert, Mike McClary from Intervine, and wanted to spend some time here this afternoon talking about data centers. And I can't think of anybody better than Mike to shine some light, provide information on, the data center issue, because this is the way I feel, Mike. Correct me, or let me know what you think as well. I feel like data centers is becoming like a trigger word. Mm-hmm. It's being used, by people on both sides of the argument, but especially on the people that are against them, as a kind of like a boogeyman term, as I said a moment ago, like trying to paint the data centers as this destructive, horrible thing that we have to fight against. We also were just talking about how the biggest hindrance to the development of AI services and systems is the fact that we don't have enough power. We don't have enough power plants. We don't have enough data centers. So something's got to give here if for this growth to continue. What is why do people fear data centers so much, and are those fears, in your opinion, legitimate?
I think the number one thing is just this general fear of AI. Growing up in our day, we all saw Terminator and Terminator 2, maybe Terminator 3, although I don't think I refuse to call it a Terminator movie.
Every movie about the future doesn't, and every movie about the future and computers doesn't end well. So
none of them, especially war games.
So we've been conditioned to fear the computers in the future.
And what people don't realize yet, because they're not seeing the benefits yet, is all of the incredible things that we're getting already from AI. They just may not realize it because they used it a year ago and they saw it spell strawberry wrong or not count the R's correctly in there. But if people were using the latest versions of these AI models, they would see something dramatically different than even it was 6 months ago. These models now, they don't make mistakes like they used to. They are right 99% of the time, and they're right at an expert level. Like inside of your phone, when you use these models to ask it a question about science, medicine, math, chemistry, marketing, whatever it is, it's all wrapped up into one unbelievable brain. And we have access to that right now. We're basically taking electricity and power and turning it into super intelligent thought. I mean, that's the product being created here, thought. And we've never had that before. Most people haven't used it that way. It's like, I heard someone talk about it. It's almost like the alchemist stone. Before they're taking lead and turning into gold, we're now taking sand, which is all these silicon comes from, and turning it into thought by making these transistors and GPUs into thought, something that's unbelievably more valuable than just the sand, the trillions of sand we have all over the earth. And people don't see the value yet, but it has so many unbelievable potentials for us that we haven't even seen what it's going to be able to do for us in medicine, in science, in energy. Like, I know there's a huge energy like a deficit right now, but once we get to this point where it's actually solving problems for us, it's going to be able to help make all these problems so much better for us. But we got to get to that point. And to do that, I think the biggest thing kind of clicked in my head as I was thinking about this is that in the old day, we had manufacturing. The U.S. had manufacturing. We were great, and we lost it all to China. But then we still had software, right? And software is very scalable. If you create a good software program or an app, pretty much one person can create that and sell it to billions of people, right? It's like one piece of software, and it scales tremendously. With AI, we're back to manufacturing. And hear me out. This is kind of the best way I have of putting it. Every time you ask a question of an AI bot, it has to manufacture what are called tokens, these huge bits of information it has to process in order to give you your answer. So these data centers are manufacturing tokens. And you'll hear AI people talk about this all the time. They need trillions of tokens a day to meet our capacity, and they're manufacturing it. And every token, think about it as a word. It's a word like car, house, Mike, Tony. A token is a word. And once they place those tokens in sequence, it starts guessing what the next word is in the sequence, and then the next, and the next. And they're trained on these trillions of computations, and they get incredibly smart knowing how to answer almost any question. But it's incredibly power intensive, and that's why they need all these data centers to do it. And these tokens are being manufactured right now, just like we manufacture products and widgets. And we're back in the phase where we have a full-blown need for manufacturing. We need the power to power these plants. We need the water to cool them. We need the buildings to store them. We need the racks to put the computers on them. We need the computers themselves with CPUs. And then we need the GPUs also to power the brains. And then we need network cables to actually run between everything. And then we need people to maintain everything. That is a full-blown manufacturing environment that we're back in that is so much different than just regular software, but no one really thinks of it that way. But we are manufacturing in the United States, and that's why we need all this infrastructure built up to support that manufacturing.
You just touched on the water and and the size and scope of these things. There's been a lot of arguments about the damage that that people say that these data centers and power centers do to the environment. I know you and I have talked about the water situation many times, and it's the same debate that happened decades ago with nuclear power plants being built. But just to revisit that, and also, by the way, while we're having this conversation, I literally, as we were talking just now, was Googling. I was going to ask, what do people fear about data centers, to see what it said. And to your point about like how big of a fear and when I typed in what do people fear, the top auto-generated search is about AI. It's the number one thing. What do people fear about AI? But anyway, can you talk about that? Those concerns from people that say, for every, square foot of data center, you're polluting a gallon of water for the rest of eternity. Is there any truth behind the concerns, the fears, the people reporting that we're polluting all of our water as we build?
Yeah. So for the pollution part, no, that is completely made up, and it's no different than any other facility that uses water. The pollution's coming from old pipes, rusty pipes, leaks in machinery, things like that. That's where the pollution comes from. They're using this water to cool down machinery. The only thing that we have when we're done sending water through a data center is warm water.
Right.
That goes right back into the system, back into lakes or little, rivers, whatever it is, and it's make sure that it's purified, but it could be warmer. It actually creates some pretty good fishing spots.
It does in the wintertime. It sure does.
Yeah.
Power plant lakes are great.
Could there be accidents just like there are in coal power plants and, natural gas power plants? Of course there could be, but there's less of a chance with the data center because it's just cooling down CPUs and GPUs. That's all that it's doing. And now with the administration's proposals to force these data center builders to provide their own water and provide their own power, I think those two red herrings are kind of being taken off the table. But you don't hear people talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the new guideline. They have to bring in their own power supply. Now, how do they do that? They do that with the same technology that could solve our water issues, and that is clean nuclear energy. We don't desalinate water. Only 1%, maybe 2% of the world's water is actually usable because everything else has salt all in it. And desalination, taking that out, is really, really costly. But what does it really well is clean nuclear power. It can take water and actually desalinate it for places like Aruba. Aruba has, they actually have like one of the first nuclear powered desalination machines out there. And you don't hear about it because there's nothing bad happens. It filters all the water. We can do
That's
that
huge.
much more affordable.
That's huge.
And we can solve that if we have these portable small microreactors that also use fusion and not fission, which is dramatically less risky than the old fission, which is what we use to make the bombs.
What about if we already don't have enough power and we are trying to provide more power to the AI companies as we build these things? I know we can generate more power as we build these, but those things are going to be powered, especially in the short term. I believe one of the concerns is that a drainage essentially on the power grid and what's going to everybody else in the community being diverted, to these to these data centers and these power plants, at least in the short term, to provide the the service that they're trying to provide. Any truth to that? And what do you know about that situation?
There is. That's one where power has a finite supply right now, right? Like it really does, but it's kind of our own fault. Like we have cut off our energy supply for the past 50 years, by limiting drilling, limiting we haven't had a nuclear plant built in 50 years. And you know how many people were killed with 3 Mile Island? Zero people.
Yeah.
Fukushima over in Japan, you know how many people died? I think 1. And we're actually talking about the long-term effects. Like they did studies. Fukushima is a little too soon, maybe the past 10 years, but with 3 Mile Island, even the Nuclear Regulatory Committee could not find any evidence of being long-term effect because they did what they needed to do. They had a meltdown, they shut it down, they followed protocols, everything's contained. We can't use that property for 100,000 years, of course. But if you ask anyone about 3 Mile Island, they probably think that thousands were killed. 0 were killed. Mm-hmm. But since then, not a single nuclear power plant has been built. And so we do need that. There is a deficit of energy. It's our own fault. And if we just decide that we're going to not allow data centers to pop up, then we're going to be having a deficit in another huge resource, which is AI. And so we need to get these nuclear power plants up and running. And I'm talking about the portable ones, the safe ones. They already have them. They're already building them. We're not talking years or decades. We're talking like a year or two, and they're going to start rolling out these smaller portable power plants, which will be powering the data centers. And so that actually is great. And they may have extra capacity to put back into the system even.
So, Mike, we only have a couple minutes left today. Obviously, we're going to have these conversations and continue, to go in depth on these in the future. But for right now, what is your best 60-second answer to somebody that says that the data centers are a bad thing? They're dangerous for all of these reasons. What's your Cliff Notes answer to that question right now?
All the fears you had about data centers, where there's polluting your water, are untrue. There's nothing proven to that. They're safer than other types of manufacturing facilities. People said they don't want manufacturing facilities in their cities, so put them out in the country. They're doing that with the data centers. Now they're saying they don't want them out in the country. So I don't know what we want, but these data centers are going to bring lots of jobs, lots of money. I make nothing out of this, but they're going to bring lots of jobs, and it's also going to be some residual jobs as well, supporting all the people working at the data centers. Do they have as many employees as a manufacturing plant? Absolutely not. That's just not the way that technology is. But are they going to have a lot of high-paying jobs still at the data center? Absolutely. And will it invite other high-paying jobs for people around that data center, because that's where there's going to be a little technology hub? Absolutely. I think the pros outweigh the cons 7-2. That's just my number I pulled out right there. 7-2.
Well, I like it. Yeah. Just stick with it, because it makes it sound like you've really, listed them out there. Exactly. And we'll talk about this also in the future, but the idea of where it gets built, and it's gonna, you build it in the community, and it's loud, and it creates traffic, and it's dangerous, and all this. Let's, okay, we'll put it on the outskirts of town. Oh no, now you can't do that either. We don't want it.
You're taking advantage of the country folk.
Yeah, I actually agree with the concerns of, like, nobody wants to have a data center, popping up a quarter mile from their house and all the traffic
100%.
and all that. Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't want it to be plopped on, on somebody's farmland, obviously. But I do agree with that being a concern. But there's easy ways to find the proper place.
We can solve every one of those problems, Tony. The problem is you solve one, and they're going to list two more that they just came up with.
Great stuff, as always, Mike. And we still have just scratched the surface on this conversation. That's why it's so important to continue to make sure that we are having them. Mike McClary from Intervine, appreciate your time as always, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And we are going to have a little fun. It's Wednesday afternoon, which means it's time to open up Klose's Kabinet. Mark Klose from KC95 and Skip Weber join us next.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If fishing is your passion, you need a shop that shares it. 367 Bait Shop and Fresh Fish, family owned and operated by brothers Ty and Tony Baker, has everything the serious angler needs. The widest selection of catfish bait, fresh fish, and quality fishing supplies, all at prices that won't break the bank. Their knowledgeable staff is ready to answer your questions. And while you're there, don't miss their delicious fresh fish fries. 367 Bait Shop on Benham and Spanish Lake, or visit 367baitandtackle.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Duchenne High School, Bula Yomo, and Mobile Magic Auto Body. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump at a cabinet meeting today at the White House taking questions from reporters about where the administration stands on negotiations with Iran.
They're negotiating on fumes. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't.
President Trump telling reporters at the cabinet meeting that he is not satisfied with the current Iran deal. The president asked about a timeline.
Right now, I think it looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. They have. I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall.
Laura Winters reporting.
The Congressional Black Caucus calling on major U.S. corporations to push back on Republican redistricting efforts.
The Black Caucus has sent letters to more than 250 companies asking them to condemn redistricting efforts that the lawmakers call coordinated efforts to silence black voices at the ballot box. Several states have moved to get rid of congressional districts represented by black Democratic lawmakers.
That is Donna Warder reporting. Another giant leap for mankind with NASA plans to deploy the Blue Moon lunar lander sometime this fall.
Moonbase 1 will be the first privately funded lunar lander mission in history.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman says Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin cargo lander will carry payloads to make a permanent manned moon base feasible. Rideshare drivers organizing in Massachusetts.
The App Drivers Union could eventually represent nearly 70,000 drivers statewide. Drivers for apps like Uber and Lyft say many have been struggling with rising gas, insurance, and maintenance costs and sudden deactivations. Organizers say workers are also worried about the expansion of self-driving vehicles. Lyft and Uber issued statements saying they plan to work in good faith with the union and state regulators as the process moves forward. I'm Jennifer King.
A winning session on Wall Street at the close. The Dow was up 182 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. An isolated shower or thundershower, not out of the question. Very spotty, though, through about early evening. They'll fade into the evening and then dry overnight with a low of 66. A high of 86 on Thursday. It's going to be warm and muggy, partly to mostly cloudy for Thursday. Friday's mostly cloudy, 20% chance for a shower, mainly in the morning to early afternoon, otherwise a high of 81. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Let's get real. Here's the truth about eliminating Missouri's income tax.
I'm here with State Representative Bishop Davidson. And Bishop, you've heard the complaints about the proposal. Here's your colleague, Representative Ashley Awney.
Frankly, the only thing that this resolution does is increase sales taxes.
So what does this do and what does it not do if we say yes?
The first part of this constitutional amendment is a constitutional shall. It's a guarantee to the people in Missouri that if they vote for this, that their legislature will enact and shall enact legislation to eliminate income taxes using natural economic growth over time. That means when the economy grows, instead of it going back into the coffers of the state, it goes into the pockets of Missourians. The second part is a constitutional may. It allows the legislature to have a conversation around sales taxes, but only so that they can eliminate income taxes faster and reduce local tax rates like personal property tax and real property.
Get the facts at afpmissouri.com. This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at serenitywealthbiz.com. That's serenitywealthbiz.com. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Opening up Klose's Kabinet with the Bee Gees this week. And I will explain why in just a moment. But first, let's get the guys on the phone. Mark Klose from KC95. Marker, can you hear us?
All good, my friend.
And the sponsor of Klose's Kabinet, of course, is Weber Chevrolet. And Skip Weber is with us. Skip, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So, I'm not a big disco guy. I was born in the 70s, so I wasn't really around, for that whole thing. But there would just always be something cool about the bass line and the groove of that song. But the reason I started with that today is because I don't know if either of you have come across this, but it has been all over the news that Barry Gibb passed away today. He did not. He is alive and well. He's had to put out a statement about that because it's the latest, and this is kind of becoming a trend. And I remember maybe this is just like a fad that comes and goes, because I know this has happened before, but there's this new fad of celebrity death hoax. And to see if you can, get your death hoax to gain steam and get reported on. And there were a lot of reports earlier today that Barry Gibb had passed away, and he hasn't. So if you've seen that, no worries. Barry Gibb is 79 years old, and according to a statement that he had to put out because of this news, he is happy and healthy and living life at his Miami area home. So, yeah. What do you, Mark? What do you think about a celebrity death hoax? And I guess we can talk about the Bee Gees also a little bit. There's a group I don't think we've ever really dug into. But what are you doing in your life if you have enough time on your hands to say, hey, I wonder if I can create a fake death hoax and get it to catch on and go viral?
The problem, I just talked about this probably the other day on HD2, and that is they're coming out with the reunion of all time. Led Zeppelin hits the road, and they've got the complete layout, and they'll have cities and where they're going to be playing and all that. It's crap. I saw another one for the McDonald's buffet at Lake of the Ozarks, and they had a picture of a buffet with McNuggets on it and everything. Total crapola. So, basically, anything you see online, it sounds ridiculous to say it, but just don't believe it at first. Absolutely try and get it vetted, because they're putting this information on, and the quality of the stuff they do with AI. I saw one, it was a polar bear fighting a Bengal tiger. And I'm like, where on earth would a polar bear run into a Bengal tiger? It's like they're kind of different
the zoo.
In the world.
The zoo.
Yeah, the zoo. Thank you. That's what it was.
And they're selling tickets to the fights.
St. Louis Zoo in the duck pond. But they're just throwing this crap out. But that, you kind of brought it up. Who's got time to do all this? What are you doing in your life that you can sit down and put all this stuff together and AI and do all this audio video stuff? Get a hobby. Maybe get a job. There's an idea. I don't understand it.
This is perfect timing, Skip, because we just had a long conversation with our AI expert, who's usually with us on Tuesdays because of the week being a little funky with the holiday, had to move some guests around. So we just had our big AI conversation a few minutes ago, and I have some AI stories for you guys as well. But Mark is right. Like you can not only can you make like concert posters and announcements that look legit and perfect. You can make concert footage that looks legit, like Steve Perry on stage with Journey. You know, like go ahead, Skip, go ahead.
I would say that more stuff that you see on social media right now, maybe not on YouTube, but it's going to be there soon. But on social media, certainly, I would say more stuff between videos and pictures is AI than not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if you're not trying to fool somebody, if you wanted to say, hey, here's a shout out to my favorite celebrity whose birthday it is today. Mm-hmm. It's probably an AI generated picture of him.
Right. Because it's all about getting clicks. It's all about getting clicks and views. And if you can
and stories and reviews and all this stuff is all done by Grok and teams. It's not just even pictures. It's all horrible. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm hoping that it kills social media. Yeah. I don't know that it can with the addiction of it because social media has become, and I use it all the time, okay? It's how I get people listening to my show and stuff on the other station and all that. But,
Saturday nights, 97.1. It's all right.
But it's exactly. But it's just not good. It's not good. It fuels a lot of the rage we have in society. It fuels a lot of the divisiveness, because if you're discussing something online, it descends into nothing much faster because you're not in front of the people anymore, or you're not talking on the phone with them. It's just different. I don't know. I think it would be good to not be there, but I don't know if it'll kill it or not. But you're right. It's who knows? How many times has Eddie Murphy died?
Right.
Yeah. Once a month.
Yeah.
It probably is. You see that all the time, and you get somebody that's like me or Mark that's not on it that much, but on it just enough.
Yeah.
That we'll see it. And yes, there's been 22 Eddie Murphy death hoax, but somebody like us will see it for the first time and send it out to everybody we know. Oh man, what's your favorite Eddie Murphy movie? And everybody will just pile on.
Exactly. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for clicks, engagement, because the more they can get, the more money they can generate, or, the bigger social media footprint you have, there's a lot of benefits to that. So anything you can do to get those clicks. And the way that we defeat it is to not reward those things. But I don't know that, and another thing, Mark, to Skip's point, I think Skip is spot on, especially with the Eddie Murphy analogy. This is like a perfect one, the Barry Gibb one, because somebody just well known enough that it would be a big enough story that people would be clicking on, but just random. Like if I'm Barry Gibb sitting at home, 79 years old in Miami, reading about my own death. Like I would why me?
Exactly.
How random is it? How random is it to create a Barry Gibb death hoax? But that randomness, I think, makes it feel more plausible. Like nobody would fake a Barry Gibb. Eddie Murphy, sure.
Right, and the other part, and we touched on it. I guess it's been about a month ago that Dave Mason died, and I had people. He's one of my all-time favorite hosts. Mm-hmm. And I had people texting me saying, hey, Dave, and I'm like, all right, let me check. And it's you're hesitant to believe anybody because of the amount of stuff, erroneous information's out there, and then you finally get enough of it some of these, I don't. Skip mentioned, or somebody, it's like when they go the Cardinals. Ozzie Smith has passed away a couple of times. He's had cancer a couple of times. Yeah. Then I saw and John Rooney, the play-by-play guy, I saw him that they were talking with them cancer, and it's always the official whatever. the official Cardinals, the official,
right.
Long John Silver. If you see the name official in the title, it's usually not them. So,
No,
God.
no, you're exactly
Brutal.
right. It's
Brutal.
only gonna get worse. And I'm not a big censorship or regulation person, but there's got to be, with AI becoming so prevalent and so good, there needs to be some rules on if you're going to post, something that's AI generated, it needs to be identified as such.
But you also can't find the source. A prime example is we have the Casey Stuff Store, Sweet Meat the Pig. We got T-shirts and koozies and blah 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 blah. And you go online, and it comes up on my stuff all the time. They'll show a Casey T-shirt going, "Say yes if you like it. Order here," and it's got price. It's not us.
Not you. Yeah.
It's just somebody that's making it up. So people send their money in. We don't know if the quality's in. We don't even know if you're going to get your money or not. And it's like, I was talking to our promotion director. They chase it once a month. They'll find out. They'll get it shut down. And she said within 3 to 4 days, there's a new site packed up again. Popped up, and you just can't. Maybe it's coming from Russia or India or Tibet or Arnold, Missouri, but you can't trace it. You can't find out what the source is. So, you can stop it for the time being, but then there's something brand new, within 48 hours. It's
same thing. Hey, same thing happened to me this winter. I bought a Weber Chevrolet hoodie, and it showed up. It had 2 B's, and it was a total hoax. Total. I thought I was supporting Skip, and apparently I just got totally.
So I would accept whatever you paid for that hoodie. You can just send me half that, and I'll still feel like you.
Well, so it's I didn't even intend really to go down the AI rabbit hole, but like I said, we were just talking about AI with our AI expert in that last segment, and then as I'm looking at some of the weird news of the day, a lot of it is starting to revolve around AI gimmicks, stories, whatever it may be, and here is one. It's one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies did this, and there was also another famous cartoon that did this not recently, but in the last 10 years. The idea of a dog collar that can translate your dog's barks, growls into language, and there's a new this product is out there. A startup tech company in China, you guessed it, just launched a new wearable device for pets that claims to translate animal emotions into human speech with what they claim from their studies 95% accuracy.
Yeah.
The gadget hangs from your pet's collar and uses AI to study things like vocal patterns, behavior, and body language to figure out what your pet is trying to communicate. It costs $118, and according to them, again, so grain of salt, massive, they've already sold 10,000 of these things. They've 10,000 pre-orders. Actually, that I think I believe. The 95% accuracy, I don't. Do I think that there are at least 10,000 people out there gullible enough to buy a dog collar translator?
The bad thing is they're going to pay that money, and they're going to find out that anytime the dog is barking, it's just yelling, "Hey." So it's going to translate, "Hey, hey, hey." I mean, that's my dogs. They're barking at the car. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've looked exactly. Food. Hey, look at that guy. I've looked deeply in my dog's eyes, and, I don't think there's much back there. I think it's food, squirrel, sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep.
And to be honest, too, I don't know about you. I don't need anybody else in my house talking to me. I got plenty going on with my wife. I knew no one else needs to enter the fray with their input. It's like that's one of the benefits about a dog. It ain't talking to you. It's like it's just sitting there. That's why you get a dog.
That's a great point because whatever it's saying, it's not going to be helpful. It's just going to be another. It's just going to be another person in the house asking for something. So
absolutely, and I got plenty of that going on. No more, thank you.
Well, one of you should do it. Who wants to buck up the $118 to run a test on the dog collar translator?
I don't have a dog, so it's up
I'll
to
do
you.
it. Send it to me.
Yeah,
I'll do it. Send it to me. I'll see what it. I'd be interested to see what it says. I'll try it.
And you know what? And if they're smart, they did just make it say like basic things like I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm tired.
Hey you. I think it's hey you. I mean, every time my dog whines and does those, my dog communicates pretty well.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell.
Sure.
Tell
when it wants to go out or when it wants to get food or like you can tell what it's.
But I think when it barks, it's just yelling "Hey."
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
I mean, there's not different barks. She's just yelling. There's somebody here. There's a threat. I'm gonna chase it away and let everybody in the house know that something's going on. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they say.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be stupid.
But
I think we're going to be laughing about it.
Oh, but I would love to see it. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be great if Skip bought one and put it on his dog
and it
started and the dog's going, buy a Nissan, buy a Nissan, buy a Nissan. I'd pay for the collar then. I'd pay for it. So
no, I told you before, my dog thinks that she's the coolest living thing on the planet when she rides shotgun.
Yes.
In my truck. And
got to be in a Silverado.
She's not thinking that when she's riding in a Nissan.
No, that's a fact.
Buy a Nissan.
Another AI story here. We've heard about people using AI lawyers in literally in court. And we've heard about AI medical diagnoses and things like that. Here's a new one. There's a survey that's gone viral about the idea of using AI as juries instead of human juries. One, because nobody likes to do jury duty, so it's harder and harder for cities to, to get jury members. And the one side argument is that there's no bias with, an AI or a computer jury member. But that, it's as biased as the person programming it. So, that's not necessarily always the case either. But this poll it's a legit poll. It had like tens of thousands of people surveyed. It's not one of these, we asked 100 adults that said that, where is it at? It's 75% still say that they'd prefer a human jury over a AI or chatbot jury. And I know that, there's a lot of it, rightfully so. There's a lot of concern and suspicion over AI results and things like that. So this doesn't surprise me at all. But I also wouldn't be surprised if that number doesn't change over time. Skip, what do you think about the idea of who would be more who would have less of a bias, the AI chatbot jury or the human jury?
So I am not a lawyer, obviously. I don't even play one on TV, but I have lots of friends who are lawyers. My college roommate is an attorney. He's not a trial attorney, but he does go into courtrooms, but it's for businesses and stuff. But I know several other people that various legal things that they do: defense, prosecutor, corporate guy, family attorney, whatever. And I think that they would all I could be wrong, but I think that most of them would say it's a bad idea. And here's why. You're not guaranteed. The beauty of our legal system is you're not guaranteed a trial of the truth. You're guaranteed to be tried by a jury of your peers.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about some of this stuff is when you have somebody who's not represented in the jury. And jury selection is a huge thing for the defense, for both really. But, I don't want to get into politics, but let's say you look at when they tried Trump, they picked the court. The jury was nothing but people that hated him. Of course he was going to be guilty, whatever much the case, okay? But the point is you're guaranteed a jury of your peers, and your defense lawyer will do his best to get people sympathetic to you. The prosecution will get people that want to put you in the chair and all that. And that prep work, I think, is part of what makes our system great. And then how you present stuff to people in court. I mean, I want everybody to get what has coming to them and to not get punished for being, if they're not guilty. And I think that the system we have is a good way to do it. I think you get both of those happen. People get punished when they don't deserve it, and people get off when they do deserve it. But those are the small percentage of what happens. I think that's just my opinion on it. And I think if you get into something impartial, where now your lawyer is putting input into a computer that's going to spit out, you're no longer saying, "Hey, this person, is accused of, doing this, but they were defending their child."
Yeah.
And so you don't have any moms on the jury that says, yes, this is right, that he should defend his child, or he or she should defend his child. That kind of thing. When that goes out, I think that the greatness of our legal system goes down a notch.
That's a great point. Like, the context of the situation is not something that is black and white and can be properly, explained or hashed
about
out
it,
by
though,
a computer program.
our founding fathers in those days, you talk about wealth discrepancy now. Think about it then. Landowners versus not landowners, and the people in the cities, and the lawyers and businessmen versus farmers. I mean, it was way bigger, and that's why they specifically said jury of your peers.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a farmer that's accused of this, then you're going to be tried by in front of farmers. You're not going to be tried in front of a bunch of bankers in Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they said, and that's what I don't think that the AI is a solution to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And like I said a minute ago, Mark, also the people who want to say that it's not, that AI is not doesn't have a bias or whatever. Well, it's as biased as the person that programs it. Like I said, until I trust, and I don't know that if that would ever be, that there's truly no way to manipulate or put a bias into something, a computer program like this. I think I would stick with the human jury as well. What do you think, Marker?
No, I agree, and it's AI to me. It's kind of like the internet was. It's the Wild West, and they're making up the rules as they go along. In other words, it broke really big, and it's been out for a while. But I mean, it's kind of
but it's really getting it broke a while ago, but it's like it's catching on now. It's getting closer and closer to being like an everyday part of our lives.
Sure, but it's like you said, the rules, the regulations, the laws haven't been able to keep up with it because it's changing so much and moving so fast that it's like, all right, there's got to be some kind of a protection against something just getting out of control. Like even like with the internet and stuff, they always say about people putting stuff on the internet and should it be there or should it not be there? Well, they were doing it before they even got to that point, and now they're kind of playing catch up. And I think we're going to be that way with AI for a long time.
Yeah. Skip, real question about vehicles. I'm sure that there's been talk, and maybe it even exists already, about AI systems being built into the dashboard. I mean, you can already connect your phone and
that's what the self-driving cars are.
Yeah.
Waymo,
I mean,
yeah.
honestly,
Waymo, yeah.
in my Silverado, okay, I can get on to 270 or 255 in Columbia, and I can drive. I've the farthest I've gone is I've gone to Dorset. If you know how far that is from Columbia,
Wow, yeah.
without touching the wheel,
Holy.
without touching the wheel, the brake, or anything. Because once you're on a highway that's in their database, the rest of the car, it knows everybody around you. You know, it slows you down. It moves you over to the middle lane if there's nobody in the lane and you're not. You know, it doesn't let you drive forever in the fast lane. I mean, it does all that stuff.
Wow.
And it took me a couple times to do it to trust it, but it works. Now, it only works on highways because they don't want to deal with stoplights and stop signs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that's my truck, which you can buy anywhere. This is not the cabs that you see. There's a few cabs that will go anywhere. But it's only as good as a database. But if it runs into a problem, the seat vibrates and the steering wheel flashes, and it gives you a decent amount of time, a second or two, to get your hand on the wheel because it says, "I'm done. I'm out. We don't.
Right.
I'm not in control."
Yeah.
But that's been going on, and that's not new for this year. I drove that on Interstate 35 in Dallas, Texas. Shoot. 4 or 5 years ago, and it was out then. But they say that it really, really, really helps crash avoidance because it also, if you start to fall asleep or start to close your eyes, it shakes and wakes you up and disables. It's monitoring it can see the pupils of your eyes. The car can.
That's such a good one.
Does not let you.
Wow.
Does not let you read something. You have to still watch the road, but it's controlling the car.
That's one I really like. I don't like. Yeah. I'm more of a let it do everything or don't like. I don't like the ones that will push you back into the middle of the lane if it thinks that you're, or the ones that will speed up or maybe brake for you when you at a distance. The one thing that I do like though is if your eyes are off the road, one that if it will automatically brake for you. To avoid a collision or because you're getting, way too close. I do like that. But yeah.
Because they make you watch the road, the stats that they've been able to research, the accident avoidance is exponentially better. It's the computer in the car plus you is better than you by yourself.
What about if
the
you
brakes on and avoiding the collision?
What if you put the AI collar on your dog and let your dog drive the car now that they can speak? Then we've got it all tied together.
I would much rather my dog be able to drive.
Boys, we're just about out of time.
I'll sit in the passenger seat. I don't need to know what she's saying.
Exactly. Marker, before we wrap things up, what's the latest KC95? What's the latest with the band? What's going on? How do we go out and see you?
Well, we're going to be, as I said, we've been wrapping up 3 weeks off. We're going to start June 5th. We're going to be, we got 9 gigs in June. We're going to be on both sides of the river. We're going to be everywhere. One of our big ones is June 9th. We're going to be at Faust Park. This is like our 3rd or 4th year. Faust Park. It's on a Tuesday night, 7 to 9. It's free. You can bring a cooler. You can bring your lounge chair and hang out and watch us. No glass. That's all they ask. They have food trucks there and barbecue. It is a really good time because it's just, I love rock and roll. I love live music, and I love it best when it's outside.
Amen,
I don't know why. It just takes on a whole new feeling or something. So if you want to follow us, Close Quarters 2Ks, as I said, we're going to be out a bunch in the next couple months, and we'd love to see you.
And Skip, what's the latest with Weber?
Well, we got the end of the month coming up now. All our great specials and all the great deals we've got. They always, have a sunset at the end of a month, but anytime a month ends on a weekend, we got that following Monday. So May deals end on June 2nd, I guess, whatever Monday is. So through Monday, and I look at the amount of traffic and the amount of deals we've done just this week, and I know people are excited about how our pricing is and what our selection looks like and all that. Now, we lost Monday because we're closing Memorial Day, so that's probably a little bit of it. But, if we didn't have great things happening, we wouldn't be as busy as we are. And I do got to say one thing, Mark. I have one bone to pick with you about the Rock and Roll 500. It was amazing. It was the best ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's some omissions that I don't understand, but who cares? There were such great things. But, oh, man, why were you off all day Sunday? That was so bad because it pushed it to late Monday, and I missed the top 20 because I had to go to a dinner. I could not believe it.
Legitimate complaint filed. I appreciate it.
We were actually on Sunday. We did come back Sunday night from 6 to midnight. But during that
Sunday, I knew that. I knew that. But the being off all day made it go later on Monday, and I just couldn't believe it.
So like 9 o'clock, and I know you're normally in bed by 8, so I know that really kind of messed things up for you. But it was we've gotten such great response. If you want to see it and you want to see the lineup, it's KC95.com. Johnny did a phenomenal job picking out the 500 songs, and people are they just got fired up about it, and it's great. And 50 years at one radio station. That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
If it's not a world record, it's got to be close to it. So, kudos to one John Hewlett. So
great stuff, guys. Thank you. And absolutely awesome stuff. Mark Klose from KC95. Skip Weber from Weber Chevrolet. Great talking with you as always. Talk to you guys again very, very soon.
See you, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you bet. Speaking of great St. Louis radio legends like Mark Klose, we're going to be joined by J.C. Corcoran in just a few moments. The annual Brian McKenna Memorial event is coming up this weekend. We're going to talk to J.C. about that. Also, I mentioned this earlier in the show. I want to touch on this before we talk to J.C. Donald Trump, as he was talking about what's happening with Iran, addressed gas prices today. I want to tell you about that story next here on Colombo and Company.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
My doctor said I could use something called a biosimilar. Then she told me what it is.
A biosimilar is a type of biologic medication. Just like brand name drugs have generic versions, original biologics can have biosimilars.
So I asked what the benefits are and if they work the same.
Biosimilars have the same safety, effectiveness, and quality as the original biologic. They also offer more medication options at potentially more competitive prices.
My doctor said I could learn more at fda.gov/biosimilars.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu Beef French Dip. I love Capriati's, and you will too. Visit Capriati's now at 2 locations, on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. May 2011, a major outbreak of tornadoes. Hardest hit, Joplin.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Great conversation there with Mark Klose, KC95, Skip Weber from Weber Chevrolet. As I mentioned, J.C. Corcoran will be alongside here in just a few moments. First, back to a little bit of the news of the day. Started the show with a full update from the Kabinet meeting and the press briefing. Donald Trump and the administration giving a major update on the situation in Iran today, which, again, go back and check out the beginning of the show on the podcast if you missed any of that. It feels to me that we are not making progress when it comes to the negotiations, the peace talks, and I think that there is going to be. I think that we're about to enter a new phase of the situation with Iran over the coming days. So something that we're going to continue to keep a very close eye on. One of the things that the president was pressed on this morning was gas prices. The president said today that gas prices will, quote, come down a lot. That's an official term. After being pressed on the economic pressure to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, quote, it will come down a lot. It will come down to where it was before. This was during the monthly cabinet meeting this morning, speaking with the press. Americans are still seeing higher gas prices, with some paying around $4.45 a gallon, but Trump noted prices had previously fallen below $2 in some places and predicted that they would return to those levels and even lower, quote, shortly after the whole excursion ends, saying, quote, we had gasoline down to a very low number. I think we'll be hitting that number. The president also downplayed the economic pressure on the U.S. from disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, saying that America, quote, has plenty of oil and is making energy available while the key shipping lane remains affected. One of the many issues and layers of this that we will obviously continue to keep an eye on and keep you up to speed on as we go through the rest of the afternoon and the coming days here on Colombo Company and throughout News Talk STL. All right, as I mentioned, J.C. Corcoran is going to be live in studio with us. The Brian McKenna annual memorial event is coming up this weekend. We're going to talk to J.C. about that and more next.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J's Steakhouse in Moscow Mills.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Hey, this is Chris Arps. If you enjoy a good cigar like I do, check out Dorset Cigar at 11396 Dorset Road in Maryland Heights. They'll help you find the perfect smoke, and they have a fantastic premium selection. Mention promo code NewsTalkSTL for 7% off. Visit DorsetCigar.com.
Hiya, Bobby.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go for a ride?
Sure, Ken.
Jump in.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Life in plastic. It's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Imagination, life is your creation.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie
Ashlyn picked this song specifically for you, JC. She said this was one of your favorites of all time. Barbecue.
I'm not even sure I know what the song was.
JC Corcoran is in his studio with us. Welcome back to Colombo and Company.
I'm being held hostage, everybody. I was just on the air about 2.5 hours ago with Jamie Allman, and here I am again.
Well, we got to take advantage of when you're in the studio and get you in here. Of course,
by the way, if I can just say, you were talking about Iran just a little while ago.
Yeah.
If you go to News Talk STL, you will find a podcast of my Sunday morning show, which we call the Sunday Showgram.
Uh-huh.
And last weekend, because it was my 42nd anniversary of being on the air for the very first time in St. Louis, I went back into the archives and I played all this old stuff from the 80s. And one of them was something that really put us on the map, which was a call to Iran. Me and the U-Man, John Hewlett, we just one morning, let's just call Iran. And you'll hear that, and it's freaking hilarious, really, when you stop to think about it. So, again, that show I do on Sunday morning goes to podcast every Monday morning on News Talk STL. And like I said, it's like a best of. It's like a greatest hits with the old Morning Zoo stuff and everything like that. And that's posted right now.
It's the best way to make sure you never miss any of the shows here. I say it all the time about this show, but it goes for JC's show, Sunday Showgram, and, of course, also the Wayback Machine on Saturday nights, 6 to 9. Don't miss that either here on News Talk STL. But, you know, those conversations, the best way to make sure you don't miss our shows is by subscribing to our podcast, because we put these shows out as podcasts right after we get off the air. We put it on every podcast platform, so there's no reason
Yeah,
to miss
unfortunately, people always want it, but you can't podcast.
You can't with the music.
The Saturday night show, because that's all music.
Right.
So that's music on Saturday. Just enjoy that when it's on.
But that's for the moment, Saturday night.
Yeah,
that's for
exactly.
Right.
Because even the boss here, Jeff Allen,
Right.
he says sometimes they're sitting out on my deck listening to the music on your Saturday night show.
Yeah, it's a perfect time to have that.
So it works out well.
atmosphere.
Then on Sunday morning, I yak, and it's just a bunch of fun stuff like that. You know, one of the things that's coming up this weekend on Sunday is the infamous Miss Cheesecake story. This is a story that Bob Costas has been telling in those rubber chicken banquet, things after dinner speaking.
Yeah.
It was 1977, and it's a very, very complicated story to tell, but Bob tells it very well about an unintentionally funny thing that happened. That was actually quite filthy, but they didn't know they had said what they said. And you hear all this cackling in the background because the people who did know, like Mike Shannon, sounded like a 13-year-old giggling in church. And so you'll hear that. You'll hear the story as told by Bob, and then you'll actually hear the recording of the game about what happened. And it's amazing what happened.
That's awesome.
So that's the Miss Cheesecake thing. So that is going to be coming up this weekend on the Sunday Showgram.
I've told you this before. I wish that I was
a woman.
Too. A quarter, a tenth of diligent and realizing in the moment as you and how much you have saved. All the history that you have preserved.
Yeah.
That now we get to relive on these shows because of that.
You got to hear them here because
it's amazing how much you have.
Because the people who put together like broadcast museums and things like that here in St. Louis, they don't like me and they're not interested in any of that stuff. And I'm an out. Yeah, you're in good company. I'm an outcast and everything, so I don't want to do it. So if you want to hear it, you got to listen to it here.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah. Wayback Machine Sunday night 6 to 9, Sunday Showgram 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And JC, I mentioned, of course, this coming weekend is the annual Brian McKenna Memorial event. And
I think we're going to be doing this in 10 years.
Yeah,
still.
I totally agree, and it's great to see how much of an impact Brian had, and how that continues. Even
he
now.
knew everybody, and everybody knew him, and everybody liked him.
Yeah,
maybe not Kevin Slayton because McKenna had put Slayton in a headlock at Rams Park once, but that's beside the point. True story, by the way.
Yeah,
but no, Brian was so popular. And for good reason, too. I was talking about this with Jamie earlier today. He did so much charitable work, and everything that you heard that he was doing charity-wise, he probably is doing 2 or 3 other things that you never knew anything about.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to put up a little plaque in Francis Park, by the way, honoring his legacy, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So, again, we did this thing last year, we called it the first annual, which people will argue that that's not possible, but can't have first annual. But anyhow, so it went really well. We raised about $70,000. The crowd was between 3,000 and 5,000. Streets are blocked off at Mackland at Nottingham. Park wherever you can park. I mean, it's tough, but you can do it. And 2 until 7, and all the restaurants from the neighborhood, all the bars, those margaritas last year. Those people are coming back. Just watch out. They're lethal. Just the way I like them.
Yeah.
And food to eat, and you're almost guaranteed to run into somebody famous, celebrity, like media people.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who were Brian's friends were people from radio and TV, and they all showed last year. I mean, I was shaking hands like crazy.
That's so
people
cool.
I hadn't seen in years, and that's going to be the case again. And again, all of the proceeds for this thing go to a bunch of Brian McKenna's charitable organizations like the Megan Meyer Foundation and Long Branch Elementary, Nottingham High School, Friends of Francis Park, places like that. So last year we had like one sponsor. This year we got 5. Fix Newton, great cover band. Played last year. They're back again this year. They're sensational. Great sound system. Everybody just sort of hanging out and just enjoying the day. By the way, check the weather forecast. Partly cloudy and 82.
Oh, baby.
Could not ask for better weather for this whole thing. So, again, streets blocked off, Mackland at Nottingham, and this is the second year, and come on down because it really was something special last year. And it must have been, too, because 2 of the TV stations, it was their lead story on the 6 o'clock news.
Good.
So somebody was interested.
Positive news. Leading
Yeah, so hopefully we get to, get that kind of reception again this year.
Is there a website or a social media page that people can, if they want to get the,
there's
have the right details
not
and all
anything
that?
dedicated to it, but if you just go to my Facebook page,
Yeah.
the Showgram with J.C. Corcoran, all of the information is there. But, at the same time, it's really easy. It's 2 to 7. It's Mackland at Nottingham. Come on down and be thirsty and be hungry and get ready to shake a lot of hands and just enjoy the day outside. Street parties, they can be good or they can be stupid, depending on who's running it and what the neighborhood is. This thing was the best you could have asked for.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will be that again because that's the kind of vibe and atmosphere that Brian created with his friends and
your
family.
Vibe attracts your tribe. That was his saying. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think it's true, by the way. And, everybody sort of comes in with that. Let me tell you, there's people I don't even like that I shook hands with last year because it was like the goodwill was just overflowing.
Yeah.
It was great.
That is great.
Yeah.
We just have a couple minutes left here with J.C. Corcoran. You mentioned the U-Man a minute ago. We had Mark on as we do every Wednesday.
Did you lose a bet?
A few minutes ago. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lifetime-long one. U-Man, 50 years on one radio station, KC95. KC95 being around for 50-plus years is amazing. One person at the same spot. I know he was your partner.
Unprecedented. It's unprecedented.
That's insane.
There is a National Radio Hall of Fame that I have been browbeating the guy who runs that organization out east because everything is New York and L.A. And satellite radio and these guys that maybe they sounded good in 1974. They sound like hell now, but, they have this legacy that they carry with them. And it's just those same people over and over again making the same decisions. And it's like, here you got a guy who's really being discriminated against because he's not in a major city. He's in St. Louis. But what you just said, over 50 years at one radio station, plus, 40 years doing the public address stuff at Busch Stadium and, all of the stuff that John's been involved in. I keep telling this guy, you don't know what you're doing. Maybe I should change my approach.
Yeah, it is truly just incredible what he's been able to accomplish and the consistency to be with Casey for that long, and for Casey to be.
I gave him that name, by the way. He was so excited. Oh, yeah. I gave him that name. Also, we called, I can't take credit for this, but, Jamie Allman's nickname when we were doing the show together on KSD was the Acid Monkey. That's a whole.
Doesn't have quite the same ring as the U-Man.
Whole nother story. But Steve Schlanger, the sports monster, I gave him that name. Now he's doing the Olympics, for God's sakes. But yeah, and John, I never saw John so excited as when he came into work one morning and he told me that Tommy Herr, second baseman for the Cardinals back in the 80s, he saw and he yelled, "Hey, you man!" And that's when it's like, oh my God, this has caught on. The ball players are calling me the U-Man, and he, still calling him that today.
That's super cool. J.C. Corcoran, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure being seen.
Tune in every Saturday night, 6 to 9 for the Wayback Machine. Sunday mornings for J.C.'s Sunday Showgram, 7 to 9 a.m. All here on News Talk STL, and get out and enjoy just a really positive, great day this weekend with the
Saturday
Brian McKenna Memorial. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, J.C. Colombo and Company, back tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, keep it here. Larry's commentaries next, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show.
John Bill Roofing reminds you we are in the stormy season, and that means if you have even the smallest leak in your roof, you could soon have a much bigger issue. Call John Bill to make sure that your biggest investment is protected. That call can save you major dollars. If you do get hit during a storm, John Bill has a rapid response team. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, John Bill.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
During the shooting at the correspondence dinner, one reporter hiding under a table said, "I hope they kill the MFer." She was talking about Trump. Tennessee Congressman Ogles tells that story and says a woman was hoping when she quit hiding, she would stand up and see Trump dead. He did not name the reporter nor her company.